Hi, Pisces. Welcome to your May 2024 reading. I'm going to shuffle these a little bit while we talk, just to kind of get the energy moving in them. I had to take April off from doing readings. I had my Saturn opposition, which isn't really talked about as much. I think it's because the Saturn return is so prominent, like it's such a prominent part of our lives that we forget about when Saturn squares our sun or when Saturn opposes our sun as well. And I have Saturn in Virgo in the 12th house. I'm a very Piscean energy, even though it's Virgo energy, it's extremely Piscean because it's in the 12th house. And I also have my South Node in Pisces as well. So I've had a tendency to be very Piscean in my life, in a lot of ways, and never really allowed myself to embrace that or embody that. And during my Saturn opposition, I really did. I really did. So just a really quick story, because I think that you guys will appreciate this, especially if you are going either through your Saturn return or you have Saturn in Virgo and you're going through your Saturn opposition as well, as the same as me. We go through our Saturn opposition when we're 14 years old, and then again when we're 44. And my Saturn opposition will always be in Pisces, because I'm a 12th house Virgo. So I remember why I hated being 14. First of all, if like being a freshman in high school and having to have more responsibilities and being an adult and starting to, oppose authority figures doesn't sound like a Saturn opposition to you. I don't know what is, but I was miserable when I was 14. And then eclipse season came this year. And I knew that my Saturn opposition was upon me. I had already been through all of last year. Saturn squared my moon and opposed my and then just now opposed my sun, or my Saturn, right? And I had the opposition to my sun. I had the opposition to my Venus. I had all my Virgo placements. It's been a very interesting year, basically, because Saturn has been in Pisces since March 7th, 2023. And so during eclipse season this year, I was just ripped to shreds and heartbroken by somebody that I trusted and cared for very much and loved. And there's no explanation for any of it. And we're no longer in each other's lives anymore. And it was very shocking. It was a shock to my nervous system. It felt like I had been broken up with. It had been so long since I have been broken up with, you guys. I totally forgot about that kind of heartbreak. And that's happened to me with friendships now in the last couple of years. And I realize, it's when we start to no longer align with the people that we've aligned with, there's a better way to unalign with people in our lives, instead of just ghosting them, or instead of just acting like one person is a bad person. Sometimes neither one of the people are bad, neither one of the people have done anything, and here we just are in different places in our lives, and we no longer, but I don't understand the war behind it, right? And so I had to sit with that. And it happened to be the eclipse season coincided with my Saturn opposition. And I fell into a really heavy depression. And I'm like, I cannot do readings for people. I have this integrity, like this integral rule about myself, that when I'm not doing well, I'm not going to do readings for anybody, and I can do astrology readings still a little bit, but even that, like, I put on hold my personal readings. I put on hold all of it, like giving anybody advice, anything, because I was in this space where I had to give myself softness, and I was in a space where I had to, give myself attention. And I had not done things like that in the past. And, I mean, I am guilty of doing readings in like severe survival mode and, really needing to, have things happen and da 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 da. And like, no matter how I felt and whatever. And I wish that I could go back and like erase that and like take it back and like remember that I'm no good giving readings to other people. Like, you guys deserve better anyways, right? So that was where I was. And I had to take April off, and I just did. And I didn't ask for anybody's permission, and I didn't, really give anybody any updates, and I didn't talk about what was going on. I just gave myself a fucking break, and I feel like, sorry, make sure the microphone, I feel like that's something that we don't do enough for ourselves sometimes. So my Saturn opposition. So the Saturn opposition happens in the middle of your midlife crisis. And mine is really hard on me because I have Saturn in the 12th house. I'm a 12th house baby. And so I don't know really what it would be like for other people who have their Saturn oppositions, who don't have their Saturn in the 12th house, but I would assume that it's very similar to, like, you're kind of beating yourself up a little bit. How far have I come? You want to, by your second Saturn return, when you're like 56-ish, 55, 56 years old, you want to have established your foundation and get there. So your Saturn opposition is asking you, have you done that? Are you in, what does your future look like? Are you in the process? And I'm in this huge, like, chaotic turmoil of what even do I do next with my health. So it was like such an existential crisis that I went through. And I don't know if that's the same thing, but I do remember why I didn't like being 14. And I also remember thinking, because the things that I did during that depression were completely different than what I would have done in the past. And I kept myself busy doing things that just kept me, like, I got to keep my plan alive. I got to keep this diamond painting going. I got to keep this, I have to feed the sourdough every day, as the sourdough starter every day. I have to like live and exist and do some certain things. And even the sourdough starter I put in the fridge for a week and a half so that I didn't have to look at it every single day. But you do things to stay alive these days. And I think that, we don't talk enough about, being there for ourselves when things are really hard and when life can be really, really tough. Thank you for listening to my story, by the way. I feel like some of you might even relate to a little bit of what I was talking about, of just, that eclipse season just kind of like knocked all of us on our asses. And in a lot of ways, we are left asking ourselves, where do we go next? What is it that we're doing next? 3 of Wands, 10 of Cups, gotta love it, and the 5 of Pentacles. I want to make sure it is okay. Here we go. I'm told this is your reading right here. We're going to clarify and build upon it. Let's talk. You can see the flour all over my coffee mug from baking this morning. Like, I got up and I I've got the bread rising right now before I form it into buns. I've got fresh strawberry muffins on the stove cooling. It's like, I just got up this morning and just went for it. It was funny. 3 of Wands, 10 of Cups, 5 of Pentacles. And I feel like it's like the 3 of Wands is, you're ready. You're ready for the next step. You're ready to take the next step. And I think part of you, oftentimes we look at the Three of Wands and we say, oh, we're waiting for our ships to come in. Like, this guy can't sit here and wait for things to come to him very much longer. Like, you get hungry, you have to pee eventually. You got to go, whatever, right? But what is it that you're ready for? You're ready for that ultimate happiness. You want to have that life where you're in love and you have a family and you have, the camaraderie around you. And it sort of feels like instead of that, it's this, the five, there's a lack mentality here. There's a feeling of lack, or there's a thought or an expectation that you have to have something in particular to get to the 10 of Cups. Like, things have to look a certain way. I have to have enough money in my bank account to buy the house. I have to have the right job so that I look smart enough for the right person, or whatever, whatever it is, whatever it is that we think that we need to live up to the expectations that we hold for ourselves. We think that the world is holding these expectations for us, but I'd like to burst your bubble. Sorry. These are expectations that we have for what we want our future to look like and how we think it's going to take us to get there. And you're ready now. You're like, I want this now. This Three of Wands is like, now. Give it to me now. And I wish it worked like that. I wish it works like that. But I will tell you that you're already building the foundation. And the reason why I know you're already building the foundation, because the glimpse of that 10 of Cups is there. You know what you want to see. You know what you want to feel. You know what you want to have in front of you. Now it just has to materialize, right? You know what you want, and you know how you want it to look. It just has to materialize. And that's the part where you're like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And that's the hero's journey that we all go on, right? It's the Mars is in your second house for the month of May in Aries. And there is a lot of opportunity to advance yourself in ways and utilize the gifts that you have and the hard work that you've already done to get to where you're going. The trick is your mental, right? Is not allowing yourself to fall into a state of like, the Nine of Swords, the anxiety. I can't do this. It's too much. So here's the funny thing, Pisces, is May's energy feels so much better already than April's energy. It's just going to be like, and if you want to see what your rising sign is going to look like for you, go ahead and go on over to Patreon. All the rising sign readings are up. I will be doing mid-month readings, and the universe here is, we're going to be talking about how to clear out the trauma in our body. That first series of classes is going up this weekend, tomorrow probably. So Five of Wands on the Three of Wands. 10 of Wands on the 10 of Cups. Interesting. It's a lot of fire here, you guys. The 7 of Swords and the 6 of Cups on the 5 of Pentacles. And literally, when I looked over here at these cards and I looked down at them, I heard the words, I feel like time has been stolen away from me. What a Saturn in Pisces thing to say. I feel like time has been stolen away from me. I feel like there's not enough time for me to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. And I got to tell you, my friends, that there's always enough time. There's always enough time. And I'm sorry that I came to the last cards to read those first, but it was so prominent. There's always enough time for your dreams. There's always enough time to build upon your dreams. And with Saturn in Pisces, right now, Saturn's just kind of reminding you to that you got to do the hard work. It's part of the foundation. This arguing, it's like you're arguing with yourself. It's like all of those things that you want to do, that Three of Wands desire for the next big thing. It's like you're arguing how to get there. I read a tweet. It's always going to be Twitter to me. It's always going to be a tweet to me. I don't care if it's X. I don't care if it's post. I don't. It's always going to be Twitter. I read a tweet earlier last week that said instead of trying to fix your life, why not just experience your life as it's meant to be experienced? And that, trying to fix your life is big in survival mode status, which is the Five of Pentacles, right? We can really get into survival mode in big ways when we want to try and fix our life, because we think we know best. We think we know how this is going to look the best and how it's going to work the best and all of those things. But the Ten of Wands on the Ten of Cups is telling me that you've already been so busy getting to that future that you want, that you're almost forgetting to remember how much you have accomplished, that your past has not robbed you of anything. You have still grown and evolved, and the location that you're in right now has served you well. Thank you for that, right? Be grateful for this space that you've been given, and know that the journey, that really long journey that's taking you to get to where you want to go and what it is that you want to see in your life and have in your life, it's right there. The anxiety that we give to ourselves is how we suffer. And this is really, that Nine of Swords is over. If I didn't know anything, I would think that you were acting a little bit more like a Virgo this month, to be quite honest. But you guys can get yourself wrapped up. You get into this cycle of circling and circling. That's the way a Pisces sabotages itself. It just gets kind of wrapped up, right? And sort of circles the drain until it can't anymore. And that's where the anxiety comes from. The Lovers, the Hierophant, and then we have the Ten of Swords. Some of you are really wanting to be in a relationship, like a substantial relationship, like a really foundational relationship. And I feel the pain of that, right? Venus is in Taurus right now. The moon is in Pisces right now. And it's a very lovey-dovey romantic vibe as I'm doing this reading. And so a lot of you are kind of in that anxious sort of stage, or some of you are worried about the relationship that you're already in, the fear of losing it or the fear of something happening to it. For some of you, you're worried about a Taurus or a Gemini. Maybe even a Scorpio. I have the Sun in Scorpio here as well. But for me, the Nine of Swords, the biggest thing about the Nine of Swords is lack of sleep. This whole month, and I talk about all of this in the astrology on Patreon, but this whole month is just, Sun conjunct Uranus, Sun conjunct Jupiter, Sun conjunct this, Venus conjunct Uranus, Venus conjunct Jupiter, all of, Mars even, and is going to be, you know, conjoining with Chiron. Like there's a lot of stuff that could keep you up at night and have you like not really being able to sleep very well. So, paying attention to what it is that you need for yourself right now. There a lot of self-care for May, and focus on the goal, on where you're going. I tell people that when they align themselves to their journey, instead of trying to align themselves to people, they align themselves to their journey, their people will show up, right? You just got to align yourself to that path and that focus. And it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to get distracted in this day and age. Like, you know, I mean, to bring yourself back to the present moment is really hard to do. So practice. May is going to be a really great time to practice being in a present moment instead of constantly thinking about the future all the time. I love you guys. I really hope that you have a wonderful May. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.